Hello and welcome. Well, a few days ago, I'm sure you reacted with astonishment about the government actually suggesting that pubs may be open in April, but with no alcohol sales. Yes, no alcohol sales. I asked the question, who the hell has suggested that pubs would reopen with no alcohol? Have these faceless bureaucrats actually got no idea on what pub life is all about and what a pub represents? A pub with no alcohol is quite a ludicrous suggestion, and it really does worry me that there are people within the walls of Whitehall, people in power, who actually are suggesting these kinds of measures. Absolutely absurd. They've obviously no idea about pub life, what a pub represents, how people interact once they walk through the doors of a pub, how everyone enjoys that atmosphere, that special atmosphere of interaction with friends, with bar staff. It was an absolute ludicrous suggestion. They've just no idea, and that is proof that they have no idea, to actually suggest a pub opening with no alcohol sales. Good grief, these people are anti-alcohol lobbyists, prohibitionists, in my opinion. They're people who basically are not keen on pubs. Many of them hate pubs, and they just treat them with disdain. The actual people from within government, who are these people? Who are these folk who have so much opposition to pub life? Let's face it, if pubs were to open in April with no alcohol sales, come on, I'm sure most licensees wouldn't even consider opening a pub. Let's face it, the profit margins are wafer thin when the pubs are actually open in normal circumstances. To open a pub in April with no alcohol sales, good grief, it would not be worth opening, and I'm sure the vast majority of licensees would have concurred with that opinion, that it would simply not be worth opening. It's absolutely ludicrous. Who are these people? They're just faceless people. You'll never get to find out who they are. They're just absolutely clueless on what pub life entails. What about the brewers? Beer to be sold in pubs. How would the brewers be feeling when if the pubs did indeed open in April with no alcohol, with no beer? Would there been any consideration how brewers felt, how publicans felt? Obviously, the people who were suggesting these ideas, obviously, were absolutely clueless. They're in this government bubble, no idea about pub life, what it entails. It's part of our social fabric. They've probably never even walked through a pub door and walked up to a bar and ordered a pint or a gin and tonic or a wine. They just do not do it in the main. They haven't a clue about what our valued pubs represent. And let's hope, or hopefully, that ridiculous, absurd suggestion is thrown out. So I felt I had to get that off my chest. Very passionate about pubs, about pub life, and good God, there are people in government suggesting things like that. It actually really concerns me, and I'm sure it concerns you. I'm sure you may have some questions. By all means, send some questions in. Quite happy to discuss it. It really was a contentious issue, and it really quite appalled me when I found out that the government were actually suggesting pubs may reopen in April with no bloody alcohol allowed. So there you have it. It's off the chest. The rant is over. I will now descend from my soapbox. Just felt I had to relay my opinion, my views to you. I'm sure most of you will agree with me. You're all passionate about pubs. You all know what pubs represent and how valued they are. Okie doke, that's about it. I'll be back, in fact, with a beer review very shortly. I'll put the rant to one side, and I'll have a beer review for you very shortly. Once again, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. It's most appreciated. And I'll see you all soon.